Toronto woman is speaking out after her dog died, allegedly after being electrocuted downtown. It happened near a hydro pole just steps from Nathan Phillips Square following last week's record-breaking snowfall. Now, for more, let's go live to CP24's Andrew Brennan. Andrew.
Good evening, Makari, and we're in front of that hydro pole where, unfortunately, a dog named Luna was electrocuted and actually passed away. I want to actually share a little bit about, one, who this dog was, who Luna was, and what she meant to her owner, Irene, but also her friend, Atif, was the one walking Luna at the time and can give us an account of what happened. Irene, just to start off with, I know this is a really hard thing to be able to convey, but what did Luna mean to you, and how are you feeling right now?
Luna was my world. She was my family, really. She meant everything to me. She was an amazing dog. She brought so much joy to everyone's life. Everyone she met, everyone who met her, loved her. She loved everyone. She was playful. She was just the sweetest dog anyone could ask for, really.
Atif, this was last Friday. Can you tell us what happened? I know that you two are friends and you were walking Luna at the time. What happened just where we're standing?
I was walking this way eastbound right here, and she was to my right, and she actually stepped on that plate right there, and it was very similar conditions to now. It was all wet, and as soon as she stepped on it, my first impression was that she got shocked by something. And then she just jumped up and started panicking and yelping and just acting really bizarrely. I didn't know where it could be coming from, so I thought she might be having a seizure. And within about 40 seconds into it, I didn't know what to do. So I called 911, and then I told them something's happening to my dog. They told me to call 311, and then I said, okay, sure. So then I called 311. At that point, it had been about a minute, and she was already on the ground, and her eyes were open, and her back legs stretched out, and I knew that she had died at that point. And I called 911. I called 311. They told me to call 911. So I called 911 again. They told me to call Animal Services. So I also spoke to a police officer that was walking by, and he essentially just looked at the dog and said, sorry, call Animal Services. And I talked to another police officer in his car. I don't think that anybody really understood that there was a live electric current on the ground that killed this dog until a lady who was a bystander came up to me and told me that the dog, she felt it, she felt her body, and told me that there's a current on her body. And another lady said, yeah, this could happen. There could be, because of the conditions and the weather, there could be a current coming from a pole, that hydro pole. So she called Toronto Hydro, and they sent someone here. And then I was here when the people from Toronto Hydro showed up, and they basically took a voltmeter, opened that plate right there, and he told me that there was 120 volts coming out of one of the wires. It was the red wire. And then I asked him, how could this happen? And then he told me, yeah, it's possible. If there's a live current, because of the wet conditions, it could electrify the ground. And 120 volts was apparently enough to kill that dog. I didn't feel anything. I was wearing these big boots.
Rubberized boots.
Yeah. And the dog was barefoot. So in retrospect, had I known that she was being shocked, I would have grabbed her and pulled her away from there, but I didn't know what was happening.
But you also, would you have an expectation walking down any street in Toronto that, regardless of what the weather conditions are, would you have the expectation that the dog you're walking would need rubberized boots to not be electrocuted?
No, because I have been walking this dog since she was a puppy, and I've walked this route at least 500 times with her, and there was never any issue. So I thought it was completely safe. And the dog, she knew this area. And so I didn't think that it was that bad that she would need rubber boots. It wasn't that cold. And we had already been walking for 45 minutes, and she was completely fine. So it was just a surprise to me.
Irene, when we reached out to the City of Toronto, our web team did reach out several days ago, and we also did reach out again tonight, and they did refer us saying that this was hydro infrastructure. They did refer us to hydro, and we did get a response from the Toronto Hydro very quickly. I just want to go through some of what they said. They can confirm that there were crews here, and saying ultimately, just as I keep going, the first thing I want to actually, just as I'm pulling this up, all of this was happening, unfortunately, as your dog was still here but had passed away. How do you feel about the confusion that seemingly was going on, and that no one seemingly was able to help at that time?
I think it's very concerning. It's also infuriating, obviously, that, a chief would approach a police officer and they would just dismiss it. I mean, I think that would be a cause for concern if there's a dead dog, to at least ask questions like, why did this dog just die here? And what's going on? It's a public safety concern. If a dog could die, who's to say a human couldn't slip, fall, experience injuries at the very least from what was definitely an electric current that, shocked my dog.
So this is what Toronto Hydro said. They can confirm that our crews responded after receiving a call, probably from that woman, about a potential safety concern. She said, this is what Toronto Hydro said. When crews arrived, they tested the Toronto Hydro equipment in the immediate area, and they say that they did not find any live voltage or safety issues. They say at this time, there's no indication that Toronto Hydro infrastructure was the source of live voltage at the site. They also say, out of an abundance of caution, crews carried out additional preventative measures to help ensure that the area was safe before they left that day, last Friday. And this is the last thing, Irene. They said, we know how heartbreaking and distressing incidents like this can be, particularly for a pet owner, and our thoughts are very much with the dog's owner. And I bring that up because that is you, and I want you to, if you can, what are your thoughts hearing this response from Toronto Hydro?
It definitely contradicts, Atif's first-person experience. That's not what he was told. So I don't believe that. I believe that there was something faulty that created this live current that not only killed my dog, but also when my neighbor arrived here to help me pick up Luna and bring her to the emergency vet, he stepped on this area and said himself that his foot went numb. So none of that is adding up. I'm not really accepting that as a reasonable response to what's happened. Not only that, it's, not only does not taking accountability, add insult to injury, but it also means that this can just keep happening and that they think this is totally acceptable, which it's not. If our streets, our sidewalks are dangerous, something needs to be done about it.
Irene, Atif, I thank you both for your time tonight. I'm really, really sorry for your loss, and I thank you for sharing what you saw that day, even if it's hard to be able to have to remember that. Thank you to the both of you, and we'll be in touch if we get any other information in response. But thank you both again, and thank you for sharing Luna's story. Bakari, we're going to send it back inside. Obviously, you can hear from Irene just how heartbreaking it is to lose an animal is hard for anybody. But there's still questions as to why this happened, actually even how this happened as well, and not much in the way of consolation or consoling coming from that response shared a few minutes ago. I will send it back to you.
Okay, live from Nathan Phillips Square, CP24's Andrew Brennan.